What's up, y'all? This is Alex from the Rim Review. The Rim Review is a page that offers in-depth player analysis and gives nuance to the way you watch basketball. Now that the NBA draft is over, there is still a variety of players that we're going to have to cover in order to make sure we know every single rookie coming into this upcoming class. In today's episode, we're going to explore the 6'1" guard out of Virginia who just signed a two-way contract with the Golden State Warriors, Reece Beekman. When looking at Reece Beekman's game, there are a couple of offensive strengths that jump off the page. The first of which is his passing, where Beekman held a 3.2 assist to turnover ratio at Virginia. Beekman was frequently able to hit the pocket, throw lob passes, and be a connective playmaker to help his teammates get better. Secondly, he's really good when it comes to coming off of screens, as 18.4% of all of his possessions were off screens. He does a good job knowing when to bump back, when to curl, and how to make reads coming off of screens, which is a perfect fit for a Golden State Warriors offense that has a ton of off-screen actions. Finally, he's a very patient player who frequently will play off of 2 feet and is rarely rushed by an aggressive defense. There are still some pretty big offensive weaknesses to Reece Beekman's game, and the first of which is his struggle to create for himself. Oftentimes, Beekman lacks that deep bag where he can make multiple moves to blow by his man, and he doesn't have the quickness to get by them on a straight line drive either. While I like Beekman's ability to get into the paint, have a reverse pivot, and kick, as far as it comes to him actually scoring for himself in isolation, that is not an area where he thrives. Secondly, he's a very inconsistent shooter and only shot 30.7% from beyond the arc last season. The year before, he shot 35%, but he's never really been a great shooter at Virginia. This is something that could partially be blamed by the fact that Virginia runs a really poor system, which I ranked actually as his third weakness. And the reason why this is a weakness is because Reece Beekman doesn't have experiences playing in an NBA level offense. The way Virginia plays is extremely slow, and it gives Beekman time to make sure that he makes the best reads possible. While oftentimes there aren't a lot of great reads available to make, he still has a ton of time, which partially inflates some of the numbers we looked at earlier. In an NBA offense where he needs quick decisions, it's going to take him a lot of time to adjust. Now let's get into the film and watch Reece Beekman play. Right here, in transition, Beekman is bringing the ball up, but has to make multiple moves to get by his man. Despite this, he has multiple spin moves, and I love his spin here in jumping off of 2 feet to get a nice finish. On this next possession, Beekman once again relies on making multiple moves to score. As Beekman gets the ball here, he makes first a spin move, and then multiple crossovers to get to the cup. I love his patience here as he's not rushed and gets a simple, easy basket. On this next possession, Beekman leaks out and once again pushes in transition. However, he's clearly out of control and he doesn't get his balance here, as firstly, he only jumps off 1 foot. He's also having an extended finish where he's leaning this way, and Beekman is not skilled enough to have that touch to still make it. Beekman instead should jump stop here, get comfortable, initiate contact, and then jump into his man in this direction to score. When he tries to have these tough finishes on the move, it typically doesn't work. Right here, Beekman gets the rebound and tries to go coast to coast. What I love seeing from Beekman here is he's immediately reading Mason Madsen of Boston College. Once Madsen right here takes a step in and looks at Beekman, Beekman makes the easy kick and gets a 3. It's these simple reads that allow him to have a really nice assist to turnover ratio. Right here, Beekman passes ahead, gets it back, and knocks down a 3. Those are honestly just winning plays. On this next possession, Reece Beekman is going to get the ball in an empty ball screen. The ball screen is empty because there's no one over here. Beekman refuses the screen, gets downhill, and finishes off of 2. Really simple play, but fun to watch. On this next possession, Beekman is going to get another ball screen and then attack the switch. What I love seeing is the fact that he plays off of 2 feet here to initiate contact. However, what I would like to see him do is make this easy kick for a wide open 3, or you can even make a dump off to a cutter for a dunk. I do like that Reece Beekman followed his shot and he did draw a foul. On this next possession, Beekman once again is involved in a ball screen. Beekman comes off the screen here and has a 2-foot floater and knocks it down through contact. On this next possession, Beekman is going to get the ball and go up against drop coverage from Efton Reed, who is right here. Beekman attacks Efton Reed, but once again lacks that explosiveness to fully get around him. What's really hard about this with Beekman is the fact that really he can't look at this pocket pass because the Wake Forest defense has shrunk so much, because Ryan Dunn is not a threat at all and Groves really isn't a shooting threat either over here. So Beekman can't do much, and he instead attacks Efton Reed and just can't get by him. On this next possession, Reece Beekman is going to get a switch. When he gets the switch here, he now has a mismatch and should go to the rim. Instead, he settles and takes an awkward mid-range jump shot. I don't like this shot because there's 18 seconds on the shot clock, and it's really not a winning formula. You always want to get to the rim or get a 3 against a switch, especially as the mid-range shot continues to die. On this next possession, Beekman once again settles for a mid-range. He refuses the ball screen and then gets it, and I like the fact that he takes this shot because he's open, but you could continue to dribble in, maybe force Quinton Post to attack, maybe drive middle, draw this help side guy here, and hit Groves as a cutter. There's so many things you could do, but I don't like that shot. His shot just also feels a little clunky. Right here though, Beekman is going to get the ball, have a step up, and hit the pocket for an easy touch shot. It's these types of simple reads that make him effective, and these are the reads he's going to make in the NBA. Right here, Beekman is sitting at the wing, comes up, gets a screen, and hits the pocket for a very similar touch shot. Hitting the pocket seems simple, but hitting it consistently is what point guards make their money on. On this next possession, Beekman makes an awesome skip pass as he reads the defense, recognizes that this man is coming over to help, this guy is sealed, so he makes the skip for an easy 3. On this possession, Beekman is involved in Virginia's motion offense. This offense is not fun to watch, however, Beekman was involved in it a lot. Right here, Beekman is coming off of a screen, but Jack Clark cheats it right here. So Beekman makes the smart move to bump back to the corner to get open. He gets wide open, however it doesn't fall, and once again I'll point to his poor shooting percentage. Despite this, I like his decision-making process. On this very same motion, Beekman is once again coming off of a flare screen, however, he can't make it fall. He comes off screens a lot and is able to get open, he just can't finish the deal. Right here, Beekman is coming off of another ball screen, and he's going to curl it, take a dribble in, and knock down a mid-range jumper. Once again, it's the same motion. I watched a lot of it, so I'm more than used to it. Beekman is going to come off of it, dribble in, and have a nice kick for an easy 3. On this next possession, it's going to be more of Reece Beekman coming off of screens because that's all Virginia did. Beekman comes off a screen, hits the pocket, and it's an easy finish. I like seeing him make these quick reads coming off of screens because that's what he's going to have to do in the pros. Right here, the initial action doesn't work, but Beekman flows into another screen and throws up a lob. On this possession, Beekman is going to actually look for himself as he comes off of a screen, spins, and scores. Now let's watch a little bit of Reece Beekman in isolation. And right here, Beekman makes multiple moves, plays off of 2, and finishes. Really great stuff. On this next possession, Beekman once again succeeds in isolation. He's going to go by his man, make multiple moves, and then hit a nice easy cutter for a simple finish. On this next possession, it's going to be more Reece Beekman making simple reads in isolation. Beekman gets downhill, reverse pivots, and a reverse pivot is just him pivoting and kicking, and it's an easy jump shot. Unfortunately, a lot of the times Reece Beekman struggles to create separation, and we're going to see that here. He gets a switch, has Blake Henson, who's not a good defender, on him, and just can't get by and fades away with the shot. On this next possession, it's another instance of the same thing. Beekman is going to try to drive here, get downhill, but force up a really poor shot. On this next possession, it's another instance of Beekman just not being able to finish at full speed at the rim. Right here, Beekman's going to call for the ball, blow by his man, but when he tries this extended finish, and I mentioned it earlier, he doesn't play off of two, it just looks awkward and he doesn't have the touch to make a tough move at the rim. Here is another soft finish, and these are the types of things that are going to plague Reece Beekman. Firstly, he can't push all the way in transition, so he has to reset, and then when he gets downhill, he goes for the same extended finish, trying to avoid contact rather than initiate. Here, let's watch Reece Beekman in a catch and shoot situation, where Beekman is going to remain ready at the wing and knock down a simple three. Now that we've talked about Beekman's offense, let's move on to his defense, where he really thrives. Firstly, Beekman is extremely active in the gaps and aware off ball, which is a big reason why he had 65 steals last season. Secondly, Beekman is really aggressive in driving line situations where he has a high point of contact, is physical, constantly swiping at the ball, and has really good footwork. All of this led to him only giving up .467 points per possession in isolation last season. Finally, Beekman is just a smart player on the defensive end, and he talks, makes the right rotations, and gets his teammates involved. Talking is such a huge part of defense, and Reece Beekman knows how to communicate. Now, there are still some defensive weaknesses to Beekman's game. The first of which is the fact that he is a bit jumpy and will sometimes fall for pump fakes or be a touch too aggressive for steals. Additionally, because he's so heavily in the gaps, it does lead to him every once in a while losing his man off ball. These are two minor things that I honestly feel will be tweaked with a little bit more NBA level coaching. He's still a very smart and good defender. The main thing that can't be tweaked is the fact that he is undersized. He's barely 6'1", and that could lead to issues, especially if he ends up playing the 2 in a college roster. I think he's going to have to be a 1 in the NBA, but there were times where he was the 2 at UVA, and I don't think that that's a recipe for success. If he's able to play the 1 in the pros and just be a connective backup guard, then he'll be in a good spot. But if he's having to guard people taller than him, it could cause some issues. Now let's watch Reece Beekman be alert and aware off ball. On this possession, Reece Beekman is playing around the 3-point line. What I love seeing here, though, is Beekman having his eyes on the ball, and the second he sees this skip pass attempted, he jumps up with high hands and gets a steal. It's that aggressiveness and intelligence that's really exciting. Right here, Beekman is playing low, and then he comes right back to get a steal. And let's break this down a little bit more. As this screen occurs, right here, the defense puts 2 on the ball. Because of that, it's Beekman's job to come over and catch this man, which he does. Once his teammate is able to get back, Beekman starts backpedaling and is able to intercept the pass. All of this comes from good communication, awareness, and effort. Right here, Beekman showcases more good defense as he's in the gaps and just rips the ball out. I love watching Beekman play. Right here, Beekman puts 2 on the ball and then has to come home. He inches forward, and then look at how quick he is jumping this passing lane, and wow, what a highlight finish. On this next possession, Reece Beekman continues to thrive in the gaps. As Cormac Ryan has the ball, Beekman swipes, forces a pickup, and gets back to give RJ Davis a contest. On this next possession, Reece Beekman is going to talk and communicate. He first off is going to swipe at the ball right here, and then as this swing comes on, Beekman goes to the corner and tips it out. This is just Beekman being smart and knowing not to run back to his man and trusting his teammates, and Beekman beats the ball to the spot. Now let's watch Reece Beekman in driving line situations, and right here you saw him stay with Wade Taylor and really not provide much of a path, and he gets a nice block. On this next possession, it's another driving line highlight for Beekman. Beekman is playing up on the ball, beats him to the spot, handles the multiple moves, and it leads to a travel. It's these plays that make Reece Beekman a winning defender. On this possession, Beekman continues to slide his feet, doesn't fall for the pump fakes, and gets a tip. On this possession, Beekman is guarding Tyler Johnson, but it doesn't matter because he stays with his man, and here he actually gets beat by half a step on this stop right here. But Beekman competes and gets back for a steal. On this next possession, it's more driving line defense for Reece. As he guards Cam Hildreth, he stays in front of him, makes multiple attempts at the ball, and then it leads to a bad shot and a turnover. The shot wasn't actually a turnover, but the shot was so bad it's basically a turnover. Unfortunately, there are still some possessions such as this one where Beekman competes but is just too small to bother the shooter. Another issue is possessions like this where he is a touch too jumpy and it leads to results such as this one. Beekman is high on the ball, stays with his man, but falls for a pump fake and gives up an easy lay. Now let's watch Beekman off ball, as right here he's not fully paying attention to Hunter Couture, and it leads to Couture getting a wide open three. On this final play, Beekman is going to get clipped off ball. He's trying to guard Jeremy Roach, but gets clipped by Kyle Filipowski, and despite his efforts, he can't create a stop. Overall, I really like the fact that the Warriors gave Reece Beekman a two-way contract, and here's why. Firstly, the Warriors are going to be rebuilding, and Beekman is a nice piece that you can give minutes to that is going to show up every night, compete, and make his teammates better. Beekman's great assist-to-turnover ratio and ability to come off of screens are really exciting because I think he could be a great plug-in piece that can play in the Golden State Warriors system and run the second unit at a high level. I also think it's always good to get a rookie when you're type of rebuilding to give them minutes because a couple of things can happen. Firstly, it saves you money, so you're not spending a ton of money on a high-level backup point guard, which you just don't need at this point for the Warriors' timeline. Secondly, if Beekman ends up being better than most people think, all of a sudden you have a gem on your roster. And finally, I just like getting more intense guys and giving them a chance in the NBA, and I like that in Golden State. I think Reece Beekman does a great job coming off screens, but his shooting makes it so he can't finish. I think if he reworks his form, and when you're with NBA coaching, I think there's chances for him to improve that. I could see Reece Beekman being a 33-34% shooter in the NBA, and that could be a really solid number. When you combine that with good passing and great defense, you're talking about a really awesome backup guard. I think Reece Beekman's ceiling is being a backup guard that plays on a couple of different teams and maybe provides Golden State a bridge until they move into their next era, and he could be a good piece for them for a while. I think his more likely outcome is kind of being the third string guard that kind of bounces around a couple different teams, maybe gets a couple different two-ways, maybe one real contract. And his worst case scenario would be if the shooting doesn't develop and he's just too undersized, if he's never able to really crack an NBA rotation. But I think there's a good chance he could be that third guard on a team that can run a unit and maybe be a good backup. And at that point, you got a good deal as a two-way. Overall, I like Beekman's game, and I think he's an interesting piece and one that I think the Warriors are happy that they added to their roster. Overall, that's my take, and thanks for watching another episode of The Rim Review.